Hello, dear honorable judges, teachers, and fellow students. In our opinion, our definition of a better world includes a good economy, efficient negotiation, and easy communication, and this leads to improving the world living quality. If the world has fewer languages, we can converse more easily. It can make us solve problems more convenient than when we in a research across country. If both sides can converse in the same language, that this research will be more easily and reduce more of the misunderstanding in this cooperation. But if both sides converse in the different languages, they have to translate the opponent languages to understand. Also, AI have some mistake in translating. Yet it cannot be denied that there are advantages to everyone speaking in the same languages. Having a common language will eliminate the communication barriers that exist between people. Despite the fact that there are many races and ethnicities of people living within Singapore, with each having their own same language, English remains a common language that unites everyone. Moreover, some minor languages will disappear on their own. This allows people, especially those foreign offspring, to communicate and interact with each other easily. This brings many benefits to society. This shows the important role that the common language can play as a fundamental tool of effective communication and how it could make the world better off. Language barriers are semantic problems that arise during the encoding and decoding of messages into words and ideas, respectively. They show the difficulty to people who do not share a common language face when trying to communicate with each other. They are the most common communication barriers that lead to misunderstanding between people, written by Abraham Abraham.
If we preserve only a few majority languages, we can communicate easily in the world, and then we can negotiate with people from different nations more easily. For example, the United Nations reckon that there are 6 official languages such as Chinese, English, French, Russian, Arabic, and Spanish. Firstly, if we speak the same languages, we can save more time and have direct communication for the business. According to top and digital language, countries that lack language skills may just not be open to opportunities in the same way. It's thought that sharing a common language can increase bilateral trade by between 75% and 170%. The ability to communicate seems to increase opportunity. The efficiency is very beneficial, so we can avoid misunderstanding words because of different cognitions in the same word. So if we speak the same languages, this problem won't exist. Secondly, an essay from Newman of the University of Arkansas, business operating in a diverse environment. Thank you.
Constructive speech, 3 minutes.
Greetings, honorable judges and fellow debaters. We, the NEGATS team, firmly support the world won't be a better place with fewer languages. Here are the reasons. First, let's talk about our definition of a better world. We consider an environment where people respect each other, including their differences, and have self-identity and ethnic identity, a better world. It means that everyone needs to be cared for. Everyone has their own unique value. According to UNASCO Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity, quote, in our increasingly diverse society, it is essential to ensure harmonious interaction among people and groups with plural, varied, and dynamic cultural identities. Language can represent a nation, nationalities, culture, and identity. It is also one of the crucial parts in cultural aspects. Furthermore, cultures are important heritage of human civilization. For instance, literature comes from language. We will lose these meaningful insights and special terms from a different ethnic. Besides, language plays an important role in passing down the tradition, or the language and culture may die out. Language can create a sense of belonging, national consciousness, and solidarity, which makes them know who they are and what their characteristics are, or they don't even know a part of them is disappearing. Language can create a deeper interaction with their mind and hearts. Quote, if you talk to a man in the language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa said. Language is not only a tool, but also a bridge connecting people's emotions. It builds a relationship of mutual trust and respect. We can gain a better understanding of each other's perspective and culture with sincerity. We can further enrich our vision and show that we are willing to put effort into understanding their backgrounds and values. This will help in the development of personal relationships or business dealings. This is the end of my speech. Thank you.
Crossfire, 2 minutes.
You said that preserving a language equals preserving a culture. So you mean that learning a language equals learning a culture?
No, we mean to some degree, preserving a language can help preserve a culture. Some stories and literature can be passed down by words and these verbal descriptions in their own community.
But you preserve it with its own language, so it means that people still need to learn that language to know that culture, isn't it?
Yes, so that's why we need to preserve these cultures because they have to be passed down, and we're not going to ignore them.
So if we want to learn it, how many languages do we need to learn?
It is hard to give you a specific and exact answer because it depends on what language you are going to learn, and it can also depend on your job, where you live, and so on.
Okay.
And here in our question is, according to example, should we refer to and imitate Singapore? We all speak English and just let Taiwanese, Hakka, and aboriginal language disappear?
In our opinion, we think fewer language will make a society better, but it doesn't mean we can save original language. Save language and use language is two things, and we can save it, but it doesn't mean we have to use it.
But in your speech, you encourage people to learn these 6 of official languages, right? But you say it is not essential to ignore or eliminate these original languages.
Pro rebuttal speech, 3 minutes.
Hello, dear honorable judges, teachers, and fellow students. Now we, the affirmative team, are going to rebut the con team's argument. As what the con side had mentioned, they first claimed that preserving a language equals preserving a culture and its precious heritage. In fact, although there are many cultures and histories that originally used different languages in the past, in history classes we learn foreign countries' history and acquaint ourselves with their heritage in Chinese or English. This means that most of things have been translated to common languages so that people can learn easier. This means that the best way for culture to be preserved is by codifying it into a major language so that it can be spread and taught to people around the world. And then they said that people will lose their sense of belonging and human dignity because of the language and culture loss. So people have to help them preserve their language. But due to a report from New Straits Times about Malaysia's policy, a total of 50 million RM under the 2023 budget will be allocated to empower and preserve languages and cultures. And they continue, the government would provide 20 million RM for the United Nations Development Program and the all-party parliament group to increase activities related to UN's Sustainable Development Goals, though collaborations between the government, local communities, and industries. 35 million RM equals roughly 235 million NT dollars. And there are 233 countries in the world. If every country used this budget for language and culture preserving, this equals roughly 45 billion NT dollars. And most of the countries have more than one language. So probably it will cost more than 54 billion NT dollars. As we know, cultures can't help the hungry, only money can. Why don't we use these billions of dollars on improving the economy and save more lives? In addition, we observe that a world with fewer languages can still remain the existence of smaller languages in places like museums and cultural centers. Therefore, a prerequisite to funding these types of institutions and historical projects is having a healthy economy that affords a society the ability to spend money on them. We have proven that a world with fewer languages allows international business to be promoted more easily. This means that although it is more likely that culture will be remembered for a longer time. Thank you.
Kang rebuttal speech 3 minutes.
First, it's true that speaking the same language can help communicate more easily and more convenient, but it's unnecessary to sacrifice the diversity and essence of other languages. Respecting this precious cultural heritage and preserving them is really important because it definitely symbolizes one of the aspects about human civilization. The cost of losing this heritage and disadvantage can be far bigger than the convenience. In other words, once a language disappears, money can't bring it back or make up for these enormous sacrifices. Second, both preserving the languages and using a limited language can be conducted at the same time with no conflict, because you can choose which language you are going to speak and write. In the business aspect, using the same language can be easier to communicate. On the other hand, using the local language with this merchant can build a stronger relationship which shows your kindness.